All right, what's up, everybody? We are live. FAL Hangout, SoCal Classic. Let's see who we're gonna get on here. We need to get some of these guys from the trip. A lot of them are still sleeping, I think.
I need to be.
You get some sleep?
I took like a 2 hour nap today when I got home from the airport.
Okay.
I got some sleep on the plane. On the first flight, I didn't sleep on the connecting flight like at all. Like from Fort Worth to Orlando, I didn't sleep.
Gotcha. My flight wasn't that bad. It flew pretty good. It's just I couldn't fall asleep, man. That plane was so damn cramped, and I came home, I slept 10 hours straight, probably.
Yeah,
We were down, man. Hey, we'll let a couple people get on here, and then we'll talk about this weekend, the results, how it went. Imagine even some people tuning in here probably didn't even watch. I'm not sure of even how our stream ended up going. Are you aware?
Um,
Did it look okay, or
it was okay at times. Like the playback isn't too bad, but from what I am getting feedback on from like watching it live is it went down a lot.
yeah, I think they had no Wi-Fi there. From what I understand, tomorrow they're putting out we are putting out a completely edited like tournament video of it.
Right.
So it'll pretty much be the same thing as the live, but should be edited and a little bit smoother.
Yeah, and there'll also be like the super matches have been coming out periodically throughout the day. Like I sent you the link to mine.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. They put them out already, huh? I seen
Yeah.
the match I was in and a couple others. I haven't had a lot of time to get on Facebook. Like I said, I've been sleeping and we just got here, but um these people, I don't know, absolute insanity, man. The energy at that event was fucking crazy. We went nuts. We blew the roof off the building, took California to the limit. Thank you, Kevin Q. We tried our best. We went out there, was bangers. Had one match went the other way. We'd have won at 6-5. But every single one of our guys that lost in insane wars. We were in dogfights. We flew 2,500 miles, and everybody still pretty much performed at a peak level. That's what was impressive. We ran the event. We stood, we refereed all day. We did everything with the setup and carrying of tables and all this shit. And we still were on point. So I'm pretty proud of these guys. Probably the baddest crew I could have ever asked for. You know, I could have had Wilton Brock with me. And I could have had Chance Shaw could have arm wrestled. We could have had Carl Stanley and maybe Noel Nunez and others, but I don't know that we would have had better results. You know, we went out here, we were undersized in a lot of matches. We were absolutely not the favorites. We had the travel against us, and we still went out here and banged and brought everybody to their limits. You know, how we took 5 out of the 11 from them in good fashion. So my throat's a little destroyed from it, but I think we showed out, man. I think it was going to go down. A lot of people are going to remember that. And a lot of dudes in Cali now have a lot of respect for us. They put respect on the Florida name. You know, when they hear someone's from Florida now, they used to talk shit like we couldn't hang. They're way better. Artem's words were this will be more lopsided than East versus West. And I'll tell you, it wasn't lopsided at all. If anything, it looked like we were about to take that shit. So it was crazy, man. I hope that a lot of videos come out and it really captures the energy, because I'm trying to describe it. It ain't gonna, there's no way. You know that, Dylan.
I wish we could have videoed the whole experience from start to finish, from the airport. I mean, through every hurdle.
Anybody that didn't watch Dylan's match, you got to watch it. This dude was an inch from the pad, looks away from his arm, and just drives on the humerus right through in a hook every single time. And this, after the first time it works, this is his go-to plan. And It was wild, wild. And I'm telling you, the dude he pulled was not a regular human. This dude was swole up, big, thick, hairy motherfucker. I didn't know Paul Stevens was an animal like that, but he was a beast when we showed up.
Yeah, a
And
lot of people told me when I got there, they're like, "Oh, you're pulling the man. You're
yeah,
pulling the
Dylan didn't even see him. Didn't even see him. Brought him through the system. Held him in a hook, I think, in the first match. I might be completely wrong, but for like 20 seconds in the first match in a hook.
Yeah,
Um,
I should have. Looking back, like I felt so controlled there. Like I should have just drove through them then, but
yeah,
I just wanted to post on them and stare at them, and
yeah. No, it's
I,
okay. You're putting some wear on him. That's part of the system.
yeah. I just, yeah. I got in too deep. I underestimated them a little bit. I should have attacked and just went through them early. But it's you live and you learn.
Let me we'll kind of talk on a broad subject about it, and then I'd like to highlight each guy in their match each match and talk about kind of some of the high points of it all. And remember, here's a disclaimer. Everything I say might be completely wrong because I haven't slept good and it was a crazy weekend, but we'll recap on them as I remember them. So overall, the event was crazy, man. We went out there. It was a tough ass flight out there. Um, we don't really need to get into all of some of the drama that was happening and the crazy insanity. Um, but the event ultimately went off without a hitch. It was a super badass event. We had Alan Fisher showing up and just calling people out, just side tabling anybody, going to war with that. I mean, there was 3, 4, 5 side tables, and they were packed the whole time. I mean, you had 100 and something guys out in the back corner pulling on the side table. It looked like we had a kick-ass turnout. The amateur presence there was insane. It looked
Huge.
like FAL.
Yeah.
Dude, there was a 76 class there with like 15 people in it or something. I'll try to put pictures of the brackets out this week. We're compiling, going to put out both points updates for the last 2 FAL events. We don't have an event for the next 2 months. Chuck does, but we're going to go ahead and put out a lot of that. But I'll get the brackets out. But there's 76 presents out there. Dude, was huge. I mean, it was like 2 to 3 times as big as our 76 class, and that's one of our better classes. We'll have 6 to 8, 10 guys. They had like 8 or 18, 16, 14 in each one, pro and amateur. And there's a lot of beasts, bro, that people didn't know. What else was crazy there? Man, we were selling so much damn merch. We had half of California walking around in USAL jerseys. It was just sick. It was probably, if as good as a premiere for a league could have been. The USAL had the advantage of bringing a bunch of FAL animals with them. The crew I showed up with in California compared to all these polished up dudes, we looked like the most ragtag group of dudes straight out the swamp. I mean, listen, these people out here, they were Botoxed up, super hairbrushed perfect, just polished individuals. And I brought a group of roughnecks out here.
Yeah, you brought Dylan Cobb there. Look at him.
Hey, he ain't brushed his hair in 3 weeks. They knew we were from somewhere in the woods. And man, when it was go time, we turned it up. It got crazy. I think the videos are probably good. I mean, it's gonna be hard to hide that. That was that event, right? Let's talk about a couple of the matchups. Obviously, I think we should probably talk about them in the order that we played it, or something close to that. There's a bunch of comments on here. What's up, everybody? Brad seen Brandon's match online. Yeah, they're all on a guy named Benji Mac, BenjiMac. He's a cool dude we met out there. It's Robert Kelly's buddy. He filmed for us. And he's put it all on his YouTube right now. So
He's a super cool guy.
Yeah, man, he's pretty. I never met him prior to that day, but he's a cool dude.
Yeah, shout out to Benji Mack.
Robert Kelly, his foot's fucked up. He was having some sort of problem with his leg. And this dude rode a Lime scooter, like an Uber scooter, with all his equipment, shows up to the event. And then I see him trying to pull away. He's got a crutch across the handlebars, going to ride like 10 miles back to his hotel on it. The whole energy was crazy.
Yeah.
George is about to get hit by cars driving the scooter through the parking lot at the end of it. And shit was crazy.
That was the highlight of my trip, man. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah, hey, the highlight of my trip was you Poland, George.
Oh my God.
I ain't gonna lie.
Finally put the 76ers in Florida on the map.
And he put himself on the map.
Yeah.
North American, what are you, number 18?
17, 18, one of them.
So he took the 17 spot. And George, how much did you weigh that day, George?
$168, $170.
Hold an opponent that cut to 76. I've seen it. And he cut the night before. So, and Brian Lafayette is a cool dude, great opponent. But let that just speak for George and stand up. Now, the other flip side of this too is let's make sure we should give a little these Cali guys some shine too, because I've never been so well treated by my enemy as I was there. Right, every single person there treated us pretty much like gold. It was fierce and crazy and shit, but you know, Jamie Sheldon and a lot of them dudes, man, they were acting like they were our homeboys for the past 20 years. So, and I don't think I knew a lot of them, but they just met almost the whole squad that day. And they were welcoming. Let's just put it that way. So I would say that a lot of Florida guys got about 200 California friends now. So I give the California guys some props. But we'll go through the matchups one at a time, kind of give the results as I remember. We started out with me and Scott Wynn. This ended up being an absolute mismatch. Wasn't very close, kind of broke him down mentally. He ended up screaming at Dylan. Then he screamed at the California ref. He told both of them that they were cheating for me. He told me I was cheating.
Hey, great way to set the tune.
He told us on whose show was it? Was it Paul Italia's or somewhere? He told us he was gonna top roll, hook, and press me.
Yeah, he did.
I top roll, hooked, and pressed him.
That Brandon's been waiting to post that shit.
I was waiting. I had to clear my mind. But it ended up being a good war, but a mismatch. You know, tactically, it was pretty good and fun for me. It wasn't like it was just pure destruction. It took me making my adjustments and moves, but he could never attack my pronator. Even when he would be on the bicep, I had 100% of my pronation anytime I wanted. So I could just peel when I wanted. So in that regard, it was a big win for Florida, 3-0, but props to Scott Wynn because a lot of people talk shit and then don't show up to the fight. He lost the fight, but he did show up.
And he showed up talking shit, so.
He did show up talking shit. And I imagine he was probably ready to fight if it came to it. So he's a crazy dude. I give him respect. And he, you know, he backed it up. He came to fight. So we won that one 3-0. That was the first victory for Florida. After this, I went to Caleb Armbender and John Hutchison. We went to them left-handed. This was one of the matchups that I believed was an absolute lock. So I had the advantage of seeding the matches. Okay. There's no real advantage to seeding them as far as we're not facing each other after the match. It was just really as what I think was going to help our guys get the mental edge. So I seeded 4 matches in the beginning that I thought we would take initially. We put John and Caleb. This match was a barn burner, despite it being the score reading different. The first match, I could be wrong, they hit, and John's hand is just absolutely superior.
Oh yeah, you could tell that right off the go.
Looks like he's gonna fucking rail Caleb. Looks like Caleb actually has no chance. Slip strap. I believe that Caleb essentially over rotates, his hand collapses, and John isn't smart enough to hang on at all costs. That's the truth. You should have clamped that for everything in your life. It's okay.
Yeah.
You were smart enough to start clamping him and pinning him. One time you pinned him center table, I believe, with it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That should have been the approach every time. That's a good way Dan Mosier beat me one time. He would just clamp me and he was catching me before I'd get to the strap. So John looked to be dominant early on. They get to the strap, and it was very similar to me and Scott Wynn. The biceps would be like negligibly close, but the rotation in the strap would not even be close.
Yeah.
So basically, they would pull to a center table in a hook or in a high hook essentially, and then Caleb would hit and rotate through him. And this seemed to be the result each time. John getting a little better as we go on through the matches at clamping and almost pulling it off. I believe the end result was 3-0. Caleb took the victory, but John pinned him center table one time, which they ultimately, I think, called a straps or a repull.
Yeah, it was a strap. Yeah, they went to the strap. They said I pinned him center table.
I think that's elbow. I think they called elbow on that. When they called center table, I think they said he was off the back.
Yeah, which if you look back, it's really close both ways. It's like right there, same time. So
sure, and that's commendable. But John now knows where he needs to work on. You're going to see I told him, you're not going to be complacent after a loss. Only a damn fool would be. So he knows his angles. He pulled against one of the best in the country, Final Four guy at the
Arnold
Classic. Shout out to Caleb Armbender. He's a fucking arm wrestling animal anyways. He's a cool dude.
Mm-hmm.
It was a blast. That was our first match. Let's see what else we're going to. Do you guys remember what exactly the third match was? I know we had a couple guys showing
up. It was George, right?
It was supposed to be Gabe and Austin, but they got postponed.
Okay, let me elaborate. Yeah, so it's supposed to be Gabe and Austin. Gabe Young apparently hit some insane traffic from like this some LA problem, riding with Alan Fisher. So I didn't really post about it, but we had talked to Alan about coming out and just being kind of, one of the legend guys that would come hang out with the crowd. So Gabe Young ends up carpooling with him. Both of them are running a little late. Gabe Young and Jennings is supposed to be the third lock match. So at this point in my mind, which meant nothing because the results were different than I thought, but we should have been 2-0 coming into this, but we are 1-1. I felt the Jennings and Gabe Young match was going to be close, but I'd never seen Gabe Young, and he doesn't show up in time for his match, so we go ahead and stall him towards the end. We go run to Georgia Brian Lafayette instead. And this match, I thought, was probably one of the hardest matches we had because Brian Lafayette is a top 5 185 guy. George is really a blown up 154 guy. He's just not diving and cutting, right? He likes being a little fuller. And he's growing a little. He's not a true 76er though. The kid weighed 168 in the super match of his life.
Eating too, yeah.
Eating every day. He ate with us every meal. We ate like 4 or 5 meals a day.
I ate like shit too.
That was horsepower. You see how strong you were? You follow the diet plan. Anybody wants diet advice for $19.99 a month, I will put you on the power track. Okay, look what it did for George Whitfield.
Brandon's got the program.
It's just basically a whole bunch of McDonald's cheeseburgers, stuff like that.
Ass food.
You'll love it. You'll be stronger than you ever been in your life. This match was crazy. Brian Lafayette cuts the 76. I see him the day before. He shows up the day of, and he looks like a different person.
Yes.
His face filled out. He looked thick. His biceps were big again. He looked healthy again. And he looked strong. I would imagine he was every bit of 185 at that point.
Oh, for sure.
He didn't lose weight after he left that weigh-ins. And he weighed in. He was one of the first people there at the early weigh-in. Dylan just rolled out like he always does. I learned that. I left the past couple shows just like him. I'm learning from you, Dylan. But he shows up and he looks like an animal. So I would imagine he had a 15, 20-pound advantage on George. And they were pulling for the 176, number 17, left-handed in the hook rankings. They go in a hook every single time. And George goes center table, do offensive, and there's no movement. None. When Brian surges, George is rock solid. George goes in a slow mechanical motion and just pins him with a nasty hook. George doesn't overextend. He doesn't race to pin him. He doesn't hurry. He listens to everything. And he makes the statement. It's like the kid inside looked like he would have beat me in a hook.
I surprised myself for sure.
Hey, you look like something special, bro.
Appreciate it, man.
It was wild. Anybody that watched that, everybody had their mouth open, just, what the fuck?
I mean, I was pretty confident going into the match, but there was that slight, he's just a bigger dude. But honestly, hearing some of the comments you made and Austin and everyone out there, it's just like I was feeding off of y'all's energy, and it was just like there was no way in hell I was going to lose that match.
Yeah, I could see your nerves, dude. You were the most nervous, you and John. But you looked like you were, going through it. I seen you tell me on Friday night you don't feel that good. You weren't sure, we hadn't ate. The travel was getting to you.
Oh yeah.
These guys some food, went to sleep. Hey, and a bunch of animals showed up. We were well rested, well fed that next day.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That IHOP trip did us some justice, didn't it?
It sure did. That was the best place we ate that whole time.
So George holds him center table and just pins him in a controlled hook every single time. Pure shoulder commitment. Just pure balls, letting it hang out. George is an animal, raises his stock, and enters into the conversation for one of the best in North America.
Damn right.
I would like to see George in one of them round robins that where Ray Jenkins is always throwing. He's like the lightweight showcase guy. He's that way. He loves to build a crazy class that he can compete in and stuff. And you would fit right there with them guys, man. That's a good squad of 65 guys. I think it's happening like next week or something. But
I've only seen a 154, and then now he's putting together a 200-pound.
Yeah, so it's probably 154, but keep your eyes peeled on that one. You should be looking to make your next call out on one of those guys very soon.
Yeah, for sure.
Judging by how you did, it would have to be someone that was one of the better guys. Our next match, I believe we went to Dylan.
Yeah.
This match was interesting. It starts to descend. They pretty much are going into a hook every time. Dylan's bringing him through the system, elbow fouling, getting out of it, restarts. And, let's talk first. It was supposed to be Dylan Cobb and Jonathan Vasquez. It ends up being Jonathan Vasquez isn't able to make it, so he sets up a replacement opponent in Paul Stevens. Paul Stevens is a cool-ass dude and twice as big as I thought he would be in person.
Yeah, he looked like a monster.
Looked like a bald head, whole body covered in hair, thick as hell, pumped up. It looked like an animal. And then Dylan didn't back down one bit. Dylan rolls with him. Hey, they end up hooking. Dylan's down at one point 2-0. Right? Or is it 1-0? When does Dylan make his first epic comeback with the hook? Either down, I'll have to rewatch. He's either down 1-0 or 2-0, but Dylan gets into a hook an inch from the pad and just drives through him, pure side pressure, and just starts driving through him. It ends up being 2-2. They go to the final match, and Dylan's arm is burnt. Paul Stevens takes you. It was a beautiful war, probably Dylan's best performance.
Yeah, it was
He came back from a dark place there. He was in an inch from hell, deep water, no man's land, whatever you want to call it. Dylan Cobb was in trouble and he didn't back down one bit. It was crazy, man. I actually didn't know he had that in him. I don't want to undersell him, but he kicked some ass, man. He was death pressing him out there for the slip. He was burning him up, bringing him through this slip foul strap system.
Full on committing, 100% committing that shoulder.
Dude, his arm's got to be sore as hell. And then he enters the tournament, damn near wins the tournament. Shit, just burning people up, dude. He's crazy.
That man still had some gas in the tank.
Yeah. He showed he's got that dog in him for sure. Like that was impressive.
Hey man, we brought a pit bull to that dog fight. He was something special too, man. That was best performance I ever seen my boy make. At this point, I go ahead and I rolled into, unless I'm wrong, I went ahead and rolled into the Mika and Austin Wade match.
Yes.
After this. So let's talk about this kid, Mika. He's like 8 foot tall and like 260, bro. He's literally like 6'2", 6'3", 230, bro, 220. The kid's huge. I thought I was setting him up with a 198 guy. Okay, I find out a week ago that the guy's like 220, 230. And then I show up and he's taller than me, bigger than me.
He's like,
I didn't want to arm wrestle. There's no one in there actually that wanted to arm wrestle that guy. And Austin didn't back down one bit. Austin, he was the same crazy Austin. He said, bring it. And went full send on him. Him and Mika getting some bloodbath. And now they were taking some victories on fouls. I don't believe we won any matches on fouls. And so, any criticism against the refs, just know it's our guys that fouled out.
Yep.
Austin ends up losing to Sheldon on fouls at the end and on and shit like this. So a lot of these matches were decided on fouls. Not a lot of them, but some of our losses were. None of theirs were. And that's just maybe that we were fouling more. Not that anything with the refs. We just probably we were going fucking hard, but we redlined it. Austin went and banged it out with Mika. They went to a 2-2 and went to the third match. And it looks as though Mika's size played out in his favor a little because, at this point, Austin Wade's sweating. His eyes are bloodshot. His arm is pumped.
Yeah, he was redlining.
Insane, bro, veins. And he's still going crazy, pumped up, walking around like he's got 2 pieces of luggage in his head, intimidating the crowd. And he killed it, man. He killed it. Mika got the last match. I think that Austin was just burned and he wasn't at full power at the end. Mika was controlling the start in that final one. And but beautiful performance by Austin. His stock went up. If I were him, I would be super proud of that dude. That dude was a freight train.
Yeah, he was.
And Austin went to him left-handed and didn't even see him. Went 3-2 with an animal that was 30 pounds heavier than him.
Yeah, he did outstanding.
I think he knows that too. I think he's proud of himself. He should be.
very, yes.
He kicks some ass. I'm proud of him. The next time I got to go to a fight, I'm bringing him with me.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that.
Absolutely.
Shout out to Austin Wade. Mika is a cool ass dude. He likes to turn it up and talk some shit back. He had fun, man. I like that guy. If we could get him another match, or if he ever comes down here, we might have to set him up with a guy like maybe Daniel Worley, maybe somebody, and he needs another match because he's an exciting arm wrestler. I don't think a lot of people know who he is. It's his weird name, man. All these Europeans, Americans, we can't keep track of them.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Their name is the same, so we don't really know the difference between them. But he's a beast, cool dude, and they expected him to blast Wade. And Wade took him 3-2. So shout out to both them guys, especially Austin. He made us proud.
Oh, yeah.
After that, I believe Gabe Young shows up with Fisher.
Mhm.
Alan Fisher comes in classic fashion like a rock star through the back door. Gabe Young comes running through the crowd like he's Macho Man Randy Savage running to save Hulk Hogan. Fucking runs up to the match, him and Austin. It was insane. He didn't need no prep. The kid, what?
That's exactly how that looked and happened.
I know. I'm not even lying. That's why
Sunglasses on, walking in there.
like he was Tom Cruise about to whoop some ass, bro. Put the glasses on the table and walk straight up to it.
Hey, fuck yeah. It was funny.
He wasn't messing around. Good shit for sure. He looked like a beast. They end up pulling, and Austin Jennings is just too strong. His inside shoulder commitment and the way he bullies center table was overwhelming. He was able to really lock Gabe up. And shout out to Gabe. I think Gabe's a considerably younger guy. And the kid fought hard. When this kid slips and hits, and he was banging. I mean, he was hitting. He just he physically, he wasn't as strong. And Austin was a specimen. He showed up with shoulders as big as mine.
Dude.
I mean, he looked like a 98 guy that just hided a little bit.
That man intimidated me. He made me feel weak.
First thing George said when we walked away, George said, damn, that dude's big as hell for 65.
Hey, like fucking, they look like a Lego.
Fat ass face, square head, exactly. Basically, he's part of the gang now. I think we figured that out. Super good time, dude. It was a wars, but Jennings was pretty much in control every time, and he 3-0s him. Dominant fashion. Props to Gabe Young. Gabe Young showed up late. He didn't ask for nothing. Nothing. He came straight out the gate and fought hard. He had Alan Fisher in his corner. And he probably performed to about 100% of what he was capable of.
Mhm.
I think that it was a good showing for both of them. Gabe Young's stock doesn't go down losing to Austin Jennings. Austin just looks like an animal. So after this, we've pretty much played out all of the matches left-handed except for Dallas. Oh no, we went ahead and went to some of the lighter weight matchups right-handed at this point, I believe. After this, went ahead and went back to George.
No, it was me and Caleb, I thought, next.
We went, right, just like the beginning. We went to you and Caleb right hand, and then we went to George and Brian right. So you and Caleb right hand. We get you guys pulling. This one, very kind of similar situation as the left, except his right hand. It was just a little bit stronger. The gap was larger than it was with the left hand. So still a good showing by John Hutchison. It's just that, your strap game needs a little work, and props to Caleb for how well he can protect his pronator in the strap. He arm wrestles very much like I do.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
He has a form, low hand. He stays out, and he's not scared to stay in the pronation. A lot of people pronate and then they stop. It's wild when you stay pronated and you just hang that bitch out and see if they can pin it. And that's what he does. And if you don't pin it, it sinks in. He's got the hand, Yeah. That's kind of how he would get you, even if you wouldn't go for a pin center table. If you didn't move right away, he would be in your fingers. So he was able to control that match. It was a good showing for you still, I'll tell you. Because outside of the strap, you're a problem, dude. You're a problem. We just got to tune your strap game up. This one ends up being 3-0 for Caleb, the victory. But I wouldn't say your stock went down at all, dude. Caleb's top 4 at Arnold Classic, and he'll smoke about 80% of the dudes in North America under 165.
Sure as
So
hell will.
the fact that you happened to get an L to him, I mean, there's I know 100 other guys that could say the same thing.
Yeah.
So we work on our strap game. We go from there. Caleb Armbender, cool ass dude, big
Very.
supporter. He was hyped up. He was one of the only guys from California willing to stand up and talk some shit for a state.
Hey,
And he really put a lot of energy in the room. So we want that guy back. We need to get him down to Florida, put him in a tournament, or he's waist deep in the swamp. Good victory, California there. Good representing for, or good victory for Cali. Good representing for Florida for us, John. We rolled out again to Brian and George, right-handed. Brian is a problem right-handed, man. He's a good ass arm wrestler. I seen him come down to King of Florida and place top 3, I think, twice, or maybe Florida State's in King of Florida, but he's an animal. George is just built different, though. You know, George is rock solid inside. I'm about to set up a Jeremy Pappy, George Whitfield match, and we're going to be talking about the legend of George Whitfield soon enough. Because this kid looked like you looked like you've been on the top stage for a long time. Brian travels all over. He does his thing in a lot of places and beats a lot of people. He's fresh out of Vegas. He's from Vegas, representing California, and you know, he kicks a lot of ass. There's a reason that, you know, that this dude is their top 5 guy out there, and he you know, he had you by 20 pounds, bro. And you still help him center table every time, very much exactly like the right hand, center table hook, no movement in the hitting, and just pin him. It was one of the most controlled things I've ever seen.
It's crazy, man. I honestly didn't think I was going to beat him like with ease like that. It was wild.
yeah, you did it. Very impressive. It was crazy.
I remember him seeing him coming down to Florida a few times though, a couple of years ago. That's when I first started seeing him.
Oh, I've seen him bigger than me. I've seen about 198 pounds, look like a freight train, dieseled up.
Oh yeah, he came down and
Gorgeous.
trained with Max Tobin like last year.
So you were definitely not the favorite for that. You kicked some ass. I don't think there's anyone in Florida that ain't proud of you right now. You're also one of them type of guys that people like to support.
Oh
Just
yeah,
a good dude. And Brian represents that same place out there. He's just a cool guy, smiling. How can you not like him?
Yeah.
right.
Good. Thank you to him too for coming out there. He may have traveled all the way from Vegas for that. So big props to him. After this, we went ahead and started rolling into some of our main events or some of our main card. And I believe I started it off with Jamie and Wade, right? Is that where we kicked off the final 3?
I thought John and
Oh,
Dallas.
you're right. No, John, you're right. Okay, the final 3. Yeah, so it was John Theron and Dallas Langston left-handed. We know that John Theron is not that good left-handed. He's good. He's good. I mean, he smoked me at the tournament. I pulled him, but his left isn't what his right is. Let's not say that. It's not that he's not good left-handed. It's that his left isn't what his right is. His right seems to be like world level, maybe, or at least like very, very, very high level, elite level. And then his left is like a high level pro. So he and Dallas is what I would consider like a very high level, elite level guy, both hands. So that one, I think that it favored Dallas the whole time, and ultimately it kind of went like we expected. Dallas was able to control him in the straps and isolate John, and you know, his bicep just was a little bit too much, and it taxed John Theron. So Dallas took that 3-0. It was a good showing. Dallas showed up jacked to the gills, tanned as hell. He
Looked like
had
he just
American flag overalls on. It was a wild getup. Looked big as hell. Looked like he was like 230. And he got the W for California 3-0 with Theron left-handed. But they were actually good matches. They were having some wars.
Yeah,
It was crazy.
Yeah, the crowd was going crazy. It was a sick time. After that, we went to Austin Wade, Jamie Sheldon. So this one was a barn burner, man. They blew the doors off the place. Jamie Sheldon showed up. He looked massive. He was really, really protective of everything in the setup. He was fighting for every little bit. Austin and him were cranking him back and forth in a basically a seesaw battle that was determined by whoever would get the go. So they were so razor close that whoever would get the go in the shoulder and the first center movement, the other guy, they would just push right through the other guy. They go back and forth in this. And I believe the final one, I think Austin, it was 2-1, and then Austin fouls out, I believe, pinning Jamie. Was that what it was, or stopping him? I'd have to rewatch how it was, but essentially Austin fouls out his third match. And they get the victory 3-1. Jamie, super cool dude, came out and supported us. It probably wouldn't have happened without the support of Jamie Sheldon and Derek Smith. Derek didn't make it to the tournament, but he did support us in a lot of ways that that are a little bit more important than his presence. So Jamie was out there banging. He entered the tournament. He had the shirt on. I mean, it was the whole shebang. He is the truth. Jamie ended up winning the overall left-handed. I'm sorry. He ended up winning the overall right-handed, and Tony Tomlinson won the overall left-handed. So that was cool. He even made some money out there. But he got the final win, 3-1 on Austin. Austin shined pretty light right there. He looked good, man. I mean, that version of Jamie Sheldon, that was probably the biggest version of Jamie I've ever seen. He was bigger than me by a lot, and I was pretty big that day. So I wouldn't have wanted to arm wrestle him, dude. And Austin didn't back down one bit, yelling at the crowd, hitting the table. He was getting on Dallas. Him and Dallas were screaming at each other. The whole shit was crazy.
Yeah.
And
Everything.
it was wild, man. So at that point, it's fucking 5-5. We're dead. Or I'm sorry. Oh, they had clinched it at that point. So at that point, they clinch it 6-4. In the state battle, we had 11 matchups, but we still had to go to one more war. And we had brought a cannon for this war. And it was a blown up John Thayer, and his head looked like a giant apple. Just big as hell and redder than me. And he just was he was out at this day. He was tuned up and ready to go. I don't remember the exact score and how it went, but if I remember, do you remember, John?
It was 3-1.
Yeah, if I remember, Dallas took the early win.
It was 1-1 early on, and then I think it was 1-0 Dallas, maybe.
Yeah, and John started to turn up. And John's side pressure, his hand in the hook, he just was a freight train, bro. Freight train. He was diesel. His elbow looked healthy. He came off that Stephen Logsdon loss, and he wasn't gonna take another one.
Right.
He lost in both hands. Then he lost the Dallas left. Now he's got to pull him right. Like, he said it stops right here. And that in classic John Thayer fashion, bloodbath wars. Dog fight, screaming, cranked up. They blew the doors off the building. We went crazy. We, you couldn't hear in the place after John Thayer won. It was sick. The one thing you've seen that started happening here was during their matches, they wouldn't even get up to support each other. Just as I told you, they would just yell from the crowd. You would have the whole table circle. 10 FAL guys surrounding the table.
I lost that match.
My throat's fucked up. I'm sick as hell just from that traveling. I'm in bad shape, but it's because we were going so hard, bro. We brought a squad, and that rallied us. That may have been more lopsided than it was. They stayed razor close. If one match went the other way, this whole shit would have been different. And shit, if they had traveled one bit, if went through any struggle, I mean, we were out there. So Yeah, they skated by, but we had a hell of a performance, dude. Every single one of these guys performed at a super, super high level.
Yeah, there was some elite. Everybody was elite out there, man.
It was good, dude. It was one of the best times I've ever had arm wrestling and going to the tournaments and just having fun. We were in a city itself was horrible, man. LA's crazy. Never going back to Los Angeles. That was so tough to travel around in and stuff. But ultimately, this might be one of the best trips I ever been on. It was fun. He told me bring some warriors. That's what we brought. They thought that they had just a bunch of punk dudes that weren't going to do shit until we start railing them, and we're right there neck and neck going into the last couple matches. So it was impressive. I thought everybody here was a beast, but I didn't know like that. You ever seen someone just impress you and they're like, okay, I didn't know you were that legit. All you guys looked super legit. It was crazy. From Dylan just coming back from death matches to George controlling angles. And even you, John, outside the strap, dog, you looked like your hand was made of iron.
Yeah, his hand is.
Sure felt good outside the strap.
Yeah, your strap game needs work, but outside of it, you were dominant, dude. You were, fucking thumb breaker. So I was impressed, man. We'll go over a couple of these comments. I don't have the energy to do too long of a show tonight, but let's go over a couple of these. Shane Owens is in the chat. What's up, Shane Owens? Dylan Cobb and Shane Owens would be a good match. That's something I'd like to see. Brad K says custom live. Anybody that wants to see these, like we said, I think all those matches are up, but it's on a guy named Benji Mac's YouTube channel. I'll try to put the link in the comment section or in the description section on this video.
Yeah, he put those videos together nicely and fast.
Michael Philhauer says, when's the next tournament? Next tournament in Florida is called Mayhem in Middleburg. Steve VOP City says, June 10th, Middleburg. Yes, June 10th. Kane says, great job, Florida, on your performance and running a killer event. Hop on the show tomorrow night to discuss things if you have time. Yeah, we'll probably take you up on that, Kane. We're going to use the whole week to take a victory lap. I'm going to shine on these guys 100 times if I can. We kicked ass, dude. We went through hell to get there and back. It's rough as shit right now. We're sunburnt. We're fucking tired, eating crazy food. But it was badass, man. There's not many times you get to get 11 matchups from your guys to go face off across the country 2,500 miles away and have it still go down that close. That's some of the closest card I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
So it was sick. Retro Waves Polar says George showed patience and incredible strength. That's an understatement for damn sure. What's up, James Clark? We got 13 people in here right now. Anybody wants to see the stream, I believe you can watch it on Chance Shaw's Arm Wrestling YouTube channel. Just search Chance Shaw on YouTube and it'll pull up. He has a channel that's streaming that. Other than that, we kicked some ass, dude. We did what a lot of people said we couldn't. We were going hard on there. And I don't think that honestly if you played it back 100 times that we could have done anything different. That was solid. That was our squad performing at 100%. And we made a statement. We raised the stock of Florida, made the Florida Armwrestling League look like it's just full of killers. And if they're from Cali, at least they know you got some basis now. So when someone sees someone, they're, oh, that dude's a beast. Yeah, so is this guy in Florida that just beat him. So that shit goes a long way. You can't buy promotion like that for the league. So I give you guys a lot of props and thank you for killing it.
Absolutely.
Anything y'all want to add to it? Any crazy stories you remember? Anything before we wrap this up?
LA speaks for itself. We don't need to talk about
That's
that.
it. That's
place
it.
is wild.
They would cut our chat off if we tell you the stuff we seen in LA.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That shit was crazy. All right, man. I'm gonna keep it short and sweet and get some sleep. On that note, y'all be easy.
Yes, sir. You too, buddy.
Next time I need to whoop someone's ass, I'm calling both of you.